Think about the time you get off work. It is 5 in the afternoon, and you have just spent the last 8 hours doing exactly what society told you to do. You went to a job you probably tolerate to earn a salary that barely covers your basic existence. You navigate traffic, and you unlock your front door. You are physically tired and mentally drained. In any normal era of human history, this is the exact moment you would stop. You would eat dinner, you would rest, you would watch television or talk to your family. But you do not live in a normal era. You live in a modern economy that has convinced you that resting is a character flaw. So you do not sit down. You open your laptop, or you pick up your car keys. You log into a delivery app, or you start packing boxes for an online store, or you begin editing video clips for a client who pays you pennies. You are starting your second shift. You are grinding. You are hustling. You are participating in a cultural phenomenon that promises you financial freedom if you just sacrifice every single waking hour of your youth. And you are doing it because everyone on the internet is telling you that a side hustle is the only way to escape the rat race. You see the videos every day. People claiming they make $10,000 a month working 2 hours a day from their phone. People making you feel guilty for watching a movie on a Tuesday night when you could be building an empire. So you push through the exhaustion. You work until midnight. You wake up the next morning, and you do it all over again. But there is a massive, glaring problem with this entire narrative. It is entirely, completely, and mathematically broken. The side hustle is not making you rich. It is making you exhausted. It is extracting the last remaining ounces of your energy to subsidize an economy that refuses to pay you a living wage for your primary job. And the people selling you the dream are the only ones actually getting wealthy. My name is Eddie, and today we are going to do something the gig economy platforms and the internet gurus genuinely hate. We are going to look at the actual numbers. We are going to strip away the motivational speeches and the flashy screenshots. We are going to run the real math on what your second job is actually paying you. We are going to expose the hidden costs, the psychological toll, and the systematic trap that keeps millions of people running on a financial treadmill that never actually moves forward. We will break down exactly why trading your remaining free time for spare change is destroying your capacity to build actual wealth. If you want to stop feeling guilty for being tired and start understanding how the system actually works, you are in the right place. Hit subscribe and let us get into the real math. Let us start with how we got here, because the concept of the side hustle did not always exist in its current form. 20 years ago, if you had a second job, it was because you were in a state of severe financial emergency. It was something you did quietly, because society understood that working 60 hours a week just to survive was a failure of the economic system. But over the last decade, something brilliant and entirely sinister happened. The corporate world and the tech industry managed to rebrand desperation as ambition. They took the terrifying reality of stagnant wages and exploding living costs, and they wrapped it in a trendy buzzword. They convinced an entire generation that needing 2 jobs to pay for groceries is actually a sign of an entrepreneurial spirit. You are not underpaid. You are a hustler. You are a boss. You are building multiple streams of income. It is the most successful marketing campaign in modern financial history. Nearly half of all working adults now report having some form of supplemental income, and they are doing it because the math of normal survival no longer works. The median household income simply does not buy the median life anymore. When rent takes up half of your pay, you have to find a way to fill the gap. The system created a deficit and then sold you the solution in the form of endless gig work. But here is the part that nobody talks about when they promote these opportunities. The vast majority of these secondary income streams are mathematically designed to keep you exactly where you are. They are engineered to provide just enough immediate cash to keep you logging in, while silently transferring the actual value of your labor and the depreciation of your assets to a massive corporation. Let us start with the most common trap, which is the physical gig economy. I am talking about driving people around, or delivering food, or picking up groceries. These platforms advertise incredible hourly rates. You see numbers like $25 or $30 an hour thrown around in their promotional materials. And when you are sitting on your couch wondering how you will pay your electric bill, $30 an hour sounds like a life raft. So you sign up, you get approved, you get in your car, and you start driving. Let us look at a typical Tuesday night. You drive for 4 hours. The app tells you that you earned $100. You feel a rush of dopamine. You made $100 in a single evening. You multiply that by 5 nights a week, and you start dreaming about what you can do with an extra $2,000 a month. But you did not make $100. You generated $100 in gross revenue. And gross revenue is the biggest lie in the side hustle universe. Gross revenue is vanity. Net profit is sanity. Let us subtract the actual costs of generating that $100 first. We have fuel. You drove 60 miles to make that money. Depending on your vehicle and local prices, you just burned roughly $10 in gas. You are down to $90. Now, we must account for the silent killer of all driving gigs, which is depreciation and maintenance. Every single mile you drive reduces the value of your car and brings you closer to your next set of tires, your next oil change, your next brake replacement. The federal government estimates the true cost of operating a vehicle is roughly 67 cents per mile. But let us be extremely conservative and say your specific cost is only 35 cents per mile. You do not feel it tonight, but you will feel it in 6 months when your transmission starts making a strange noise and the mechanic hands you a bill for $3,000. You are now down to $69. But we are not done. You are an independent contractor. That means your gig platform is not paying the employer portion of your payroll taxes. You are responsible for the full self-employment tax, which is 15.3% of your net earnings. Add in your regular federal and state income brackets, and you are setting aside roughly 25% of your profit for taxes. That is another $17 gone. Your glorious $100 evening has just been reduced to $52 in actual, usable take-home pay. You worked 4 hours. You earned $52. Your real hourly rate is $13 an hour. You are destroying your personal vehicle and risking your life in nighttime traffic for less than the minimum wage of most major cities. You are essentially taking a payday loan against the future value of your car. You are trading vehicle equity for immediate cash. It is a terrible financial transaction. But what about the digital side hustles? What about the people who refuse to use their cars and instead try to build empires from their laptops? This is where the marketing gets even more aggressive. You are told to start a dropshipping store, or become a freelance copywriter, or create digital products. The promise is that you can build passive income with zero overhead. It sounds perfect. You just build a website, run some ads, and watch the money flow into your bank account while you sleep. This is perhaps the most dangerous illusion of all, because it fundamentally misrepresents how competitive the global internet actually is. Let us run the real math on the digital side hustle. You decide to start selling trendy products online. You spend 2 weeks of your evenings building a website. You pay $30 a month for the hosting platform. You spend another $50 on a custom domain and basic graphic design. You are already in the red before you have made a single sale. Now you need customers. And this is the part the internet gurus casually gloss over. In the digital world, attention is the most expensive commodity on earth. To get people to your store, you have to pay for advertising. You give a massive tech company $100 to show your products to potential buyers. A few people click. One person buys your product for $40. You feel like a genius. You made a sale. But let us break down that $40. The product itself costs you $15 to source and ship from overseas. The payment processor takes a fee of about $2. Your advertising cost per acquisition was $20. You spent $37 to make $40. Your profit is $3. You spent 20 hours setting up the business, and you managed an advertising campaign to earn enough money to buy half of a cup of coffee. Most people spend hundreds of dollars on advertising and sell absolutely nothing. The truth about the digital side hustle is that it is not a business. It is a highly competitive skill set that takes years to master. When you enter that arena, you are not competing against other people sitting on their couches. You are competing against full-time digital marketing agencies. You are competing against algorithmic bots. You are competing against factories overseas that can sell the exact same product for a fraction of the price. The people who tell you it is easy are usually the people whose entire business model relies on selling you a course about how easy it is. They are selling you a map to a gold mine that was emptied 5 years ago. They are the ones making the real money. You are just the customer funding their lifestyle while you lose sleep trying to make their outdated tactics work. To truly understand how destructive this cycle is, we need to look at a specific human life. Let us talk about a guy named David. David is 28 years old. He works in logistics, making $60,000 a year. He is responsible. He has no credit card debt, but he also has no savings. Every month, his paycheck perfectly matches his expenses. He feels completely stuck. So David does what society tells him to do. He decides to hustle. He finishes his office job at 5. He eats a quick dinner, and from 6 until 10 every night, he does freelance graphic design on popular online platforms. He works weekends too. He is putting in 30 hours of extra work every single week on top of his 40-hour job. He is working 70 hours a week. For the first few months, David feels incredible. He is making an extra $1,000 a month. He finally has breathing room in his budget. He sees his bank account grow. He feels like he is winning the game. But let us look closely at what is actually happening to David. The math tells one story, but human biology tells another. David is chronically sleep deprived. He drinks 4 cups of coffee a day just to maintain focus. Because he is always working. He stops going to the gym. Because he has no time to cook. He starts ordering takeout for lunch instead of packing a meal. He stops seeing his friends. He misses birthdays. He is irritable. He is constantly stressed. And most importantly, his performance at his primary job begins to slip. He is too exhausted to take on complex projects at the office. When his manager looks for someone to promote, David is not even considered, because David looks like he is barely surviving his current workload. By trying to build a secondary income, David has completely sabotaged his primary income, and this is the ultimate tragedy of the modern side hustle trap. It forces you to prioritize short-term low-value labor over long-term high-value growth. Let us talk about the concept of transactional time, because this is the psychological trap that catches smart people. When you start a side hustle, you begin to view every single hour of your day through the lens of potential revenue. If you are earning $20 an hour delivering groceries, you start to calculate the cost of your free time. If you watch a 2-hour movie on a Sunday afternoon, your brain tells you that you just lost $40. If you go for a walk, you are leaving money on the table. You completely destroy your ability to exist as a human being who deserves rest simply because you are alive. Rest becomes a financial penalty. You commodify your entire existence. This creates a state of perpetual anxiety. You are never truly off the clock. Your living room becomes a factory floor. Your weekends become missed opportunities. And the irony is that this mindset makes you fundamentally poorer in the long run. Why? Because real wealth is not built by trading your time for $20 an hour. Real wealth is built through leverage, through equity, and through deep, focused skill acquisition. When you are spending your evenings packing boxes or driving for a nap, you are engaging in linear labor. You do the work once, you get paid once. You are simply renting out your body and your time to the highest bidder. If you stop moving, the money stops flowing. It is an exhausting way to live, and it is mathematically impossible to scale. You only have 24 hours in a day. Even if you completely eliminate sleep, which many people foolishly try to do, you will eventually hit a ceiling on how much linear labor you can perform. And when you hit that ceiling, your income caps out, but your exhaustion continues to compound. So what is the alternative? What do you do when your primary salary is not enough, but the side hustle trap is a dead end? The answer requires completely changing how you view your energy and your time. The people who actually build sustainable wealth do not work 70 hours a week at 2 different jobs. They figure out how to increase the value of their primary 40 hours. The energy that David spent doing low-level graphic design for demanding internet clients should have been spent entirely differently. If David had taken just 5 of those 30 extra hours a week and used them to intensely upskill in his specific industry, he would have completely altered his trajectory. If he had earned a high-level certification in supply chain management or taught himself advanced data analytics, he could have leveraged that knowledge into a new job. A lateral move to a different company with those new skills could easily yield a $20,000 salary increase, and he would still get to keep his evenings and his weekends. The most profitable side hustle you can possibly have is becoming exceptional at something complex that pays well. It is not glamorous. It does not make for a viral video, but it is the actual mathematical path to stability. You have to stop looking for ways to work more hours and start looking for ways to make your current hours worth more money. Let us dig deeper into the concept of leverage, because this is where the wealthy separate themselves from the exhausted. Leverage means detaching your income from your raw time. The gig economy is the absolute opposite of leverage. It is pure time extraction. Every institution that relies on gig workers understands this perfectly. They build the algorithms to keep you chasing incentives. They promise a $50 bonus if you complete 20 deliveries this weekend. What they are actually doing is gamifying your desperation. They are using basic psychological conditioning to ensure you prioritize their platform over your own rest. The corporate executives at these companies are using leverage. They build the software once and collect a fee on every transaction without doing physical labor. When you participate in these platforms, you are providing the raw physical labor that makes their leverage possible. If you genuinely want to improve your financial situation, you must stop volunteering to be the engine for someone else. You have to look for opportunities where your efforts compound. Building real equity means doing work that continues to pay you long after the initial effort is finished. But most people are too tired from their side hustle to even think about building real equity. This is the ultimate design of the modern economic trap. If a population is constantly running on a treadmill just to afford basic necessities, they will never have the mental bandwidth to step off the treadmill and question the system. Exhaustion is a fantastic tool for maintaining the status quo. A tired worker is a compliant worker. A worker who blames themselves for not hustling hard enough will never blame the structural economic conditions that made the hustle necessary in the first place. You are internalizing a macroeconomic failure and treating it as a personal character flaw. You think you are not rich because you are lazy. The truth is you are not rich because you are playing a game where the rules were written by the people who own the board. We must also acknowledge the very real medical cost of the hustle culture. Stress and chronic fatigue are not just emotional states. They are biological events that destroy your physical body. When you work a full day and immediately jump into a second job, your cortisol levels remain elevated for 16 hours a day. Your body never enters a state of deep recovery. This leads to autoimmune issues, cardiovascular strain, and severe mental burnout. Working yourself into a hospital bed to make an extra $400 a month is not a financial strategy. It is a slow-motion tragedy. If your total monthly expenses are consistently higher than your primary income, you have a fundamental structural problem in your life. You either need to drastically reduce your living expenses, which might mean making painful decisions, like relocating to a cheaper city, or you need to fundamentally increase the value of your primary labor through targeted education and strategic career moves. Taking on a side hustle to plug a leaking boat is a temporary measure. It is not a permanent solution. It is time to stop feeling guilty for needing to rest. It is time to stop letting internet personalities make you feel inadequate because you chose to spend a Sunday reading a book instead of dropshipping cheap plastic items. Your time is the only truly finite resource you will ever possess. Once an hour is gone, you will never get it back. Stop selling it at a discount to companies that do not care if you survive. Stop treating your life like a business transaction. Run the real numbers on your side hustle. Look at your actual net profit. Factor in your taxes, your depreciation, and your mental health. When you do, you will almost certainly realize that the game is not worth playing. Understanding exactly why the math does not add up is the first step toward making a decision that actually protects your future instead of just enriching a platform. Know you know the real math. Drop a like if this helped. It genuinely makes a difference.